Hey guys, so today I will be covering some of the questions you guys posted on all of my videos related to the spousal sponsorship process in Canada. And I'm sure the answers will not only help these people, but you too. Consider this video a very important one because it contains a lot of useful information that will help you in your process. I've also put timestamps for each question, but I would recommend you guys to go through the whole video for a complete understanding. So without any further ado, let's get started. So the first question asked by this gentleman is, who needs to create an account to submit an application for spousal sponsorship? Is it the sponsor or the principal applicant? So by this, I believe he means to ask two things. The first one is, who is supposed to actually create the profile for application? Should it be the sponsor or the principal applicant? Before I answer this, let me first clear you the most basic thing which still confuses a lot of people. The principal applicant is the person who is being sponsored by the Canadian PR or citizen, and sponsor is the one who is obviously sponsoring their family member. If your Canadian husband or wife is planning to bring you over in Canada, then he or she will be the sponsor and you will be the principal applicant. Now coming back to the question, the answer to this is that anybody can create an account online for submission. It doesn't really matter because what matters is that the right forms and evident proofs are being submitted in the application. If it's a paper application, then the online account doesn't even come into the picture because everything goes paper-based. It's just after your paper application has arrived at the visa office is when you will be able to start tracking it through the application number, UCI, and so on. And if it's an online application, either of the two, sponsor or principal applicant, can register themselves on the portal and start preparing the application. Now the second thing related to this question will be, who actually does all the payment and necessary procedures to submit the application? So the person responsible for all that will be the sponsor, because obviously they are the ones who want to bring over a foreign national in Canada, so they should be the ones bearing all the expenses related to it, like the government fees, biometric fees, etc. So I hope that makes sense to you all. Now the next question asked by Gurpreet is, hi, actually we have done our marriage in court and there are not many ceremony photos, only a particular ceremony in Gurdwara temple. However, our relation is too long and we have a lot of photos of both of us. So Gurpreet needs guidance if it could create any problems in their application. Okay, so to answer this question, let me first ask you guys, what's the main purpose of showing photographs in the application? You know, it's mainly to support your relationship with your partner and sort of provide a visual evidence that you were indeed present at the ceremony. Now, Gurpreet is afraid that not having a lot of photos might affect their application in a negative way. But let me tell you that 20 photos is all that you will need to support your application. But, you know, given the number of marriage ceremonies and functions that usually happen in the Indian culture and many other cultures, only 20 photographs sounds like a really low number. Well, if you're someone like me who submitted around 200 photos during the process of sponsoring my wife and you prefer quantity over quality, then there should absolutely be no issues in that. But if you don't have enough ceremony photos like Gurpreet to begin with, then there also should be no issues. But there's a couple things that you need to be very careful with. Is that you must show as many guests as possible in your photos because a ceremony taking place among a handful of people might take your file in the wrong direction or delay the process. Make sure your photos don't look staged with no one smiling because the officer might see that thing in a negative way. And the most important one, make sure to put the date, the location where the ceremony took place, and names of the people in the photo. To know more about how I put all that info in my photos, you can check out this video that's popping up here, but only after you finish this video first. In the end, for Gurpreet, I would say if you don't have enough photos for the ceremony itself, then try putting together other photos where you both were together along with other guests and relatives around you. Before I proceed, if you're liking this video so far, please make sure to leave a thumbs up down here and type in the comments what other questions do you have in your mind related to your application. And for more videos like this, make sure you're hitting the red button that says subscribe or right here that asks you to click. And do you guys like this new format of helping you guys through Q&A? Let me know what you think. All right, let's take the next question. Now the next question from Jennifer is, can this visitor visa be applied for immediately after spousal sponsorship application? Like, how long do I have to wait before applying for a visitor visa after the application? Okay, so there's really no specific time limit as to when you should be applying for a visitor visa after the sponsorship application. Usually people go on this track when they haven't heard anything on their application for a long time or when they haven't received an acknowledgement of their submission for a long time. If you would like to immediately go for a visitor visa, you surely can. There's no issues in that. But beware of one thing. More than 1 in 4 applications are getting rejected these days for one or the other reason. This is something that I have talked about in my previous videos as well. And 2022 doesn't sound like a good year for visitor visa application. But that definitely doesn't mean that you will also get rejected. Just make sure to watch this video where I have talked about all the stuff that you need to be very careful with while applying for a visitor visa. And before you proceed with this category of visa, make sure to first follow up with IRCC on your sponsorship application, because that should be your main priority. Now the next question from Jaswinder is, can I marry a Canadian PR and apply for PR but I overstay in Australia? So I'm not sure what Jaswinder means by overstay. If that means they are staying in Australia over the limit of their permit, then that could cause problems in their sponsorship application, because IRCC looks at all the aspects of the applicant. They rely on the Canadian Border Services agencies as well as the police certificates from all the countries where the applicant stayed for 6 months or more to verify their travel history and background. I have no information on what's Jaswinder's current status in Australia and if they have stayed in Australia for 6 months or more, but if they did, then they will need to provide their police certificate for Australia as well. If you just want a quick answer on whether you can marry a Canadian PR and then apply for PR, then yes, you absolutely can. Now the next question from Juliet is, what happens when you have paid your biometric fees during spousal sponsorship but have not done the biometrics yet? Will you have to pay again? So normally, after you've submitted your sponsorship application, you get a biometrics instruction letter from CIC within 24 hours or so that you use to book an appointment. And please be advised, you are supposed to provide your biometrics within 30 days of receiving the instruction letter. However, if you surpass that time limit, you will need to contact CIC and provide them a valid explanation so that they can provide you an extension. If you did book an appointment but missed appearing for it, then make sure to rebook an appointment before the 30 days deadline. But if you did not receive a BIL in your account to begin with, then you need to follow with IRCC through web forms or phone call as soon as possible. And now the second question, what will you choose when you are asked whether you have given your biometrics in the past? For this, let me first inform you that you're only required to give your biometrics once every 10 years. You don't need to give your biometrics again until the 10-year period expires. But if you have given biometrics in the past as part of an application for a visitor visa, work or study permit, and if it's still valid, then you would still need to pay the biometric fees for the sponsorship application, because visitor, study and work comes under the temporary category, while the sponsorship comes under the permanent category. There was a COVID measure by the government a couple months back where you were not required to give your biometrics if you gave it before, irrespective of which category it belonged to. I'm not sure if that measure still prevails, but just to save yourself from the processing delay, I would suggest you to pay for the biometrics beforehand while submitting the application. If they find out that your bio is not needed, then your fees will automatically get refunded. Now the next question here is, for the PCC, I was asked for on the document checklist during applying initially. Is a second PCC required? Now, what I understand from this question is that you would like to know if you will be asked to resubmit the PCC after you have already submitted one. You see, normally all the applicants are supposed to submit their PCC for all the countries they have stayed in for 6 months or more, and technically you are recommended to submit your PCC during the initial stage of your application, because if you forget to do so, chances are always high that your application will be returned. So if you have already submitted a PCC, you don't need to submit it again. However, if you are one of those applicants who received another request for it from IRCC, you shouldn't just ignore it. Just resubmit an updated PCC within the deadline as requested, and things should be good. Alright guys, I got another Q&A video coming up soon, so stay tuned for my next video. And if you do like this new format of helping you guys with your questions, then let me know in the comments below so I can continue making such videos in future. And make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and make sure to check out my other videos as well where I have covered specific topics related to the immigration and how you can bring over your loved ones in Canada. I wish you the best of luck in your application, and I'll see you again with another interesting topic on Canadian Desi.